It's Maria, the Soul's Nurse on Instagram, and I'm here recording a YouTube video for my YouTube channel. Um, I thought about this and doing this for a very long time, but procrastination, ADHD, life, et cetera. And now I feel like, okay, it's time to move on to YouTube. So we're here. And I'm so glad that you're here. I'm so excited to welcome you to this channel, to this journey of mine, this journey that I think we're all undergoing as a collective. And I'm just going to share a little bit about me on this channel, a little bit about my journey more than I do on Instagram or even TikTok. Like, I would love to expand this and be able to share a lot more than a 30-second reel. And you know how that goes. I will warn you, this is probably going to be either very entertaining for you or you might not like my videos at all because I have major raging ADHD, and that's something that I've been trying to heal for a very long time. Have not been very successful, but we're managing um, without medication, which this is one of the things I'm going to be talking about on this video is my journey in terms of medical, health, spiritual, so on and so forth, and how I transitioned from Western medicine, my career as a nurse in the Western medicine field, to plant medicine, spiritual. Where do I begin? There's so much to share. So in 20, this is my cacao, by the way. Um, Hold on, I'm going to take a sip. Okay, it just gives me that oomph to keep going. So 2020 was a crucial year for me. And I'm not going to say that it was the worst year of my life because although it felt like that at the time, through my healing journey, I've learned to understand that that was probably the best year of my life that opened me up. And it was a year of being a catalyst for not only my personal development journey, my healing journey, my spiritual journey. And in 2020, I separated from my son's father, which was an extremely painful series of moments in my life. And it was a very painful year. We also had the pandemic going on, and it was just crazy. Go ahead and get all cozy so I can talk intimately with you. So, fast forward from 2020 to 2023. I was dealing with a series of medical issues and medical concerns, including a eye surgery in my left eye. I had a blocked tear duct, which I had never even heard of until I actually had it. And it required major surgery. So I had to be put completely under, had never had a surgery in my life, had a tube in my eye for 4 months before they were able to remove it, and a whole slew of other medical problems. And then I was also on antidepressants. I was on Zoloft. I was on Vyvanse for binge eating and ADHD, then on Adderall and Vyvanse, which later I found out you're not supposed to be on both of those at the same time. I was also on sleeping medications. Um, did I say Xanax already? I don't know, but I was also on that too. And I went through a lot of therapy, counseling, you name it. And it wasn't until I reunited with my old high school friend that I led me to plant medicine, specifically ayahuasca, that I started to see a turnaround in my health, in my emotional, mental, physical, and spiritual well being. Ayahuasca has helped me with so many number of different things. And for one, being depression, anxiety, major anxiety, panic disorder, binge eating. Those were my main things that were keeping me in a prison and a mental prison specifically. And after my very first ceremony, my depression and my anxiety significantly got better. And in fact, I haven't had a depressive episode, I haven't had a panic episode since. And that's all due to the medicine itself. Each ceremony heals me in different ways. Each ceremony teaches me something new about myself, something new about life. It gives me knowledge, wisdom, and intelligence, as my teachers have taught me. And each day I continue to be a better human being. Not perfect, but better. Because of my change with plant medicine, physical, mental, spiritual, emotional change and healing that I received from plant medicine, from ayahuasca, from psilocybin, from cacao, from plants, I have been on this path of really transitioning from Western medicine to more holistic alternative plant medicine career, taking all the experience from personal moments and situations that happened with me, things that I learned that worked for me, things I've learned from the medicine, from ayahuasca, from plant medicine, from the medicine of life. And I take those experiences and that knowledge and that wisdom and I share it with those that are also seeking some guidance, some help. Um, as a nurse, I feel that one of my blessings and one of my advantages is that I'm able to understand the physical body and physical symptoms and dis-ease. And I'm able to understand also the emotional turmoil that happens that manifests a lot of these physical and medical conditions. And one of my favorite books ever that I always advise people to read, even if they don't want to try ayahuasca or entheogens or plant medicine, but just to understand that there's more to our bodies than the physical and the matter, is I always guide people to read the book Fellowship of the River. This book is written by Dr. Joseph Tafur. He is a medical physician in San Diego that studied family medicine and found himself going to the jungle to not only heal himself, but learn more about Amazonian plant medicine. And in this book, he does a beautiful job of merging plant medicine with Western medicine and science with spirituality. And that's essentially what I feel that my path has blessed me with, and that has um, put me on is being able to understand this merging of science and spirituality and Western medicine and plant medicine, and being able to understand a person holistically. After my first few ayahuasca ceremonies, I felt that there was such a shift and a turning point in what I needed to do with my life. And although I didn't quite know or understand it to the degree that I do now, I felt that there was more that I could do than just being a nurse of the physical and in the physical realm and in the physical body. I knew that there was more that I needed to do. And throughout the ceremonies, throughout my own personal deep work and throughout every single integration that I go through, I learn more and more and more about what it is that I'm really supposed to be doing here on my time in Earth School. I feel that as a nurse and having been a nurse for 13 years, working with patients, working with various degrees of medical conditions and various branches too. I've worked in offices, I've worked at rehab centers, I've worked at hospitals, I've worked at corporate, I've worked many different branches of the medical field and nursing. And so I have a pretty wide landscape of what the healthcare system is like here in the United States, what it's like for patients, but what it's also like for employees of the system. And there's a common thing and a common pattern is that often patients are overlooked in the emotional and psychological standpoint, and they are only given treatment that is a physical fix, sometimes even a physiological fix, such as depression, right? Or a mental fix, but never truly addressing the root cause of why these conditions are manifesting. And to be quite honest with you, people in the system can't make money off of healthy people. And so when we are not addressing the root cause, we are then allowing the time and space for these disease to manifest into our bodies. And that is one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about the work that I do now and the way that I mentor people and the way that I share my story, the way that I share that, yes, we have a physical body, but it cannot exist without also an energetic body, a spiritual body. They are two separate bodies that work in tandem together to make up us, which are human beings. And a lot of people don't have that understanding. You know, we grow up with a certain conditioned mind that there is only one thing that exists, and there is far more beyond that. And that is part of the reason why I always like to share that there's three main bodies: physical, mental, spiritual. But to kind of shorten this all, there's two bodies, right? The physical, the energetic body, which is a spiritual body. And anything that is unresolved within and the internal body gets manifested in the external body. And some of those ways that diseases can manifest in the body is many common conditions that we see now. It's autoimmune conditions, cancer, um, I mean, you name it, diabetes, heart conditions. There's so many conditions that are tied to disease of the emotional body. And that's why I love the Fellowship of the River so much, because Dr. Tafour does such a beautiful job in describing the experiences that he had in the jungle with the patients and how each condition, even eczema and psoriasis, had an underlying energetic spiritual connection to it. My content and my teachings and my videos, even here on YouTube, are not to persuade or influence anybody into plant medicine. I'm simply sharing my experiences, what has worked for me, what has healed me, what is continuing to heal me. And that is not to discredit like Western medicine at all. As a nurse who has a background in this as well, I acknowledge that I have a piece of lavender stuck in my mouth from the cacao. I acknowledge that those medications and pharmaceuticals had a purpose in my healing journey as well. Antidepressants saved my life when I was suicidal, and so did Adderall. I couldn't function at all at that time. And so it helped me to function a little bit more than I could at that time alone. I'm never going to discredit pharmaceuticals or medications because for some people, it is life saving. But what I will say is that there are other methods and there is more to healing than just a pill and just a pharmaceutical fix. Now I feel that this is such a big purpose of mine and a big mission is to really educate people and do what we call in the medical field patient teaching about our bodies, our mental health, mainly our mental health, our emotional health, our spiritual hygiene as well, and being able to guide others back home to themselves for healing. That was my Alexa that just went off. I don't know why she does these like random notification sounds. Anyway, one of the biggest lessons that I've learned is that true healing requires a huge amount of vulnerability. This is something that I was never comfortable with. I was never comfortable with being vulnerable in any way, shape, or form. And this is something that mainly ayahuasca and my plant medicine journeys have humbled me to becoming more vulnerable. And I've gotten so much better along my journey, but it does require a deep amount of vulnerability and accepting help when we need it, accepting that we carry both the energy of light and the energy of darkness, and understanding that vulnerability is something that we either fall into the darkness and become vulnerable for those energies to really connect with us, or we become empowered by the light and being able to connect to those energies as well. But being in a vulnerable state to receive help is the same way as being vulnerable to receive malice, right? Because vulnerability is one energy and it just varies on the spectrum of where we tune in and where we connect to vulnerability. The next big lesson that I've been learning on my healing journey, I mean, there's so many. But the next big one is the lesson of surrender. Now, if you attend any plant medicine ceremony, you will always hear that word over and over and over again. Just surrender to the experience, just surrender to Mama Aya. And yes, very true. Like you have to. But I think surrender goes far more beyond any plant medicine journey. And I recently wrote a blog about this, which I'll post the link down in the caption for y'all to check it out. But I am learning that surrender is so much more than any plant medicine journey, because surrender is the act, in my personal humble opinion, is the act of just being, just allowing, just receiving without control and without letting the mind come in. And what do I mean by that? Is, sometimes when we hear the word surrender, especially in spirituality and especially in the plant medicine spaces, is that we think of surrender as the thing that we have to do before a really hard ceremony, or going through really hard shit, right? And I'm learning that sometimes surrender is not about that. Sometimes surrender is just giving in to the moment that you're in, just allowing. For example, if you're enjoying a beautiful time with your partner or with your children, being able to surrender to that moment without allowing the mind and the worry and the fear of anything, even paying bills. We all have to pay bills, but even just that, just being taken by the moment and just being. And it's a beautiful lesson that has been coming my way. And it's, I think, a lifelong lesson, because I don't think that surrender is ever going to be over. I think is something that we learn throughout our journey, and it's a lesson that keeps coming back around. As a nurse, I was trained in the medical Western way, and I was trained to focus on the body's mechanics and the physical symptoms, physiological symptoms as well. But now I enjoy and I learn from just combining this with spirituality, because it has allowed me to be able to not only explore my own body's emotions and feelings to guide me towards my healing, but also being able to help others with that same guidance as well, to understand that there is a balance between science and spirituality, because we are made of both. We are made of physical matter and spiritual energy, and or energy at all, like atoms. I mean, it doesn't have to be anything woo, right? But we are made of both things. This balance that I speak of has truly transformed my approach to not only healing myself, but being able to walk with others in their healing journey, and being able to approach healing now, and teaching others as well that they can heal holistically and that they don't have to swing from one spectrum to the other, but creating that balance of really being able to merge their both bodies, right? Physical and energetic body into one to heal holistically. And I I'm so happy to be doing this, not just the career shift. And honestly, I'm so happy to be doing this. I'm so happy to be doing a career shift, but also to be able to share my journey with you, not just on Instagram or TikTok, but to really sit down here with you and share a little bit about my journey each day or each video, and be able to share fellow brothers and sisters on their journey. Um, People that I know and that I sit with in medicine, people that I know outside of the medicine space, clients of mine that I've been helping. I'm so honored to be able to just make a video and share my journey, and truly hoping that this resonates with you or anybody that is watching. And I invite you to subscribe, to follow along. If you have any questions, I would be more than happy to answer, whether it's in a comment, in a video like this, and a reel. I am just here to be of service, to be a vessel and a channel, to be able to share the knowledge or the wisdom, even the failures too, right? We learn from those, to be able to share those with you for your journey. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.